Jason had dabbled in magic since childhood but had little to show for it. He truly believed in its existence, and I once did too. His father amazed us with displays of magical ability and told us the world was wrapped in invisible strings of magic. If you knew how to find them, you could pull on those strings and harness their power. Sadly, Jason's father passed away when we were just 9, before he could reveal all his secrets. Jason and I have been friends for over 24 years. We still mention his dad occasionally, though my memories have grown uncertain. I now think those magic tricks were part illusion, part a kid's wild imagination. Those rabbit ears I felt on my head? Just a figment of my mind. The magic was likely all in my head, or so I tell myself. I haven't thought much about those days lately. In college, I humored Jason's passion for magic research and practice, holding on to a faint hope. I never saw any results, though Jason claimed some minor successes. In recent years, we drifted apart. After college, Jason started medical school but quit during his first year of residency. He inherited the family estate, big house, 20 acres, and a substantial sum of money. Now he lives there, doing odd jobs and continuing his research. Meanwhile, I've been focused on my computer repair business. I recently ended a 4-year relationship with Claire, who disliked Jason and scoffed at his magic pursuits. As a result, Jason and I have only met sporadically in the last 3 years and haven't seen each other in 6 or 7 months. Then Jason called, excited and agitated. Once I calmed him down, he filled me in on the past 3 years. He claimed to have rediscovered the source of his father's power. The magic strings had become visible to him again, and now he said he could manipulate them. Suddenly, all those teenage dreams resurfaced, the power, the possibilities, the wealth. Jason invited me over, promising to open my eyes to a new magical reality. I drove 20 minutes to his old family home, now his. I doubted Jason's mother ever knew about the magic hobby her husband shared with Jason. As I arrived, memories flooded back, especially the day his dad introduced us to magic. It was a weekend, and Jason and I were playing in the backyard. I liked his dad, he was kind and often took us hiking or playing catch. That day, we were in the basement playing board games while his father watched TV. He kept glancing at us like he wanted to say something. "Jason, Ryan, come over here," he said. "I have something better than that board game to show you." We walked over as he rubbed his hands, explaining, "I'm going to do some real magic, not the kind Doug Henning does on TV. I discovered it about 10 years ago. If you're good, I'll teach you." He waved his hands as if grabbing invisible strings, which seemed to glow faintly. "Ready?" he asked. We nodded silently. He touched both our heads, and suddenly, Jason had 2 German Shepherd ears like his dog Pete. I felt floppy bunny ears and saw them reflected in the TV screen. I vaguely recall us moving our ears and noticing new sounds around us. Then his father touched our heads again, and we were normal. That day, he spoke of magic strings and began teaching their secrets. The next weekend was supposed to be lesson 2. Jason spent every afternoon that week with his father. On Thursday at school, Jason said he'd begun to see the strings. I was thrilled for our lesson, but it never came. Jason's father passed in a car crash on Friday morning. For a long time, I believed the magic in the basement was real. Recently, influenced by Claire, I began to doubt those memories, chalking it up to childish fantasy. Now, Jason claimed to have proof it was real. As I drove and knocked on his door, my heart raced with a mix of excitement and nostalgia. Could it really be true? The last time I saw Jason, he looked worn and unshaven, consumed by his research. But now, opening the door, he appeared healthy and vibrant. "Ryan, thanks for coming. This is going to blow your mind," he said calmly, leading me down to his furnished basement. Along one wall, several animal cages were lined up. Without waiting for questions, he began, "I figured out how to transform living creatures. I discovered it about 3 months ago after finding some of my dad's old notes in the attic. About 6 months back, I started clearly seeing the magic strings again. The clues in those notes were the final pieces I needed to control the magic. Since then, I've been running experiments, turning cats into dogs, birds into rats, and everything in between. Here, let me show you what I can do. My dad could do more than transformations, but this is what I've mastered. Jason reached into a cage and pulled out a white rat. Holding it in one hand, he reached through the air, grasping invisible strings. Like his father before him, his hands took on a faint glow. He touched the rat's feet, which instantly changed from normal rat paws to small duck feet. He handed me the rat, and I examined it closely, feeling the webbed toes. After a few minutes, he returned it to the cage. The rat seemed fine, though it walked oddly on its new feet. Jason led me back upstairs and poured me a drink. I found myself fully believing in his magic. I'm sorry for calling your quest silly. Don't worry, you knew what I was doing and still stayed my friend. Most would have had me committed. So, convincing demonstration? Yes, very convincing, I said. Well, now I need a favor. What's that? Ryan, now that you've seen the magic, here's the big question, will you be my first human volunteer? Before you answer, hear me out. I've tested extensively on animals, and I promise I can change you back. However, the magic can only be used once every 24 hours on a person, it's too much shock otherwise. So if you agree, the change will last at least a day. Also, I can't direct the magic toward myself, which is why I want to teach you how to see and use the strings. So, what do you say? We can start small, anything you want. I don't know, are you sure this is safe? I've done hundreds of tests in the past month. Except for the one I just did, all subjects returned to normal. But first, I'd want to try another human form on myself, just to be safe. Can I be anything I want? Anything human, animal, or a mix. I picked this weekend so we could try a couple forms before you have to get back to work. I can't turn you into a plant or rock, only human or animal. It's tempting, scary, but I think I'll do it. Want to do it now? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Got plans this weekend? Nope. Between relationships and no repairs until Tuesday. Great. Here's what to expect, your clothes will adapt to your new form. When I changed dogs wearing collars into cats, the new cats had sweaters and collars. You should feel comfortable. The transformed animals moved naturally, the cats acted like cats, dogs like dogs, even when I turned a cat into a canary, it flew. Personality didn't change, dogs acted like dogs even as cats, and vice versa. It's kind of funny hearing a cat try to bark. Okay, staying human sounds good. Actually, that's what I'm thinking. Well then, who's it gonna be? Fat or skinny? Tall or short? And the big question, male or female, he asked. As I drove to Jason's house, I had been turning that very question over in my mind. Since high school, whenever we talked about magic, I'd wonder who or what I might become. One fantasy I'd held was becoming a girl. I liked being a guy and had no interest in cross-dressing or permanently becoming a woman, the makeup, periods, grooming, all that seemed like a daily hassle. Still, it was a fantasy I wanted to try on, though I wasn't sure I had the courage to follow through. Now Jason was giving me that choice. Female, I mumbled, nervous about how he'd react. Jason raised his eyebrows, and I shrugged, trying to act casual. I think it might be fun to try. Okay, he said, unfazed. I was kind of hoping you'd say that. The more different you become, the easier it is to observe how you adjust. Ready to start now? I just nodded. I'm going to need some guidelines, he said. What do you mean? I asked, a bit confused. Like a general height, build, hair color, stuff like that. I need a template in my head, then the magic fills in the rest. So, tall or short? In for a penny, in for a pound, I said, short. Busty, medium, flat, what do you want? Medium, I guess. I've never liked huge chests. Hair color? He began grasping through the air like I'd seen his dad do years ago. Brunette, brown eyes. Can you make me a little younger? Yeah, how young? Around 18. Okay, here goes. He placed his hands on my head. Colors exploded behind my closed eyelids, like pressing hands against shut eyes. Then the world rushed back, and I was standing, staring up at Jason. But things had changed. Jason was 6 feet tall, I was 6'2", but now I was definitely shorter, maybe by a foot. Looking at my hands and arms, I saw smooth, delicate fingers with long, manicured nails instead of the hairy, muscular ones I knew. The sensations hit all at once, the feel of bra straps holding up my chests, long hair brushing my neck, and the skirt swishing against my bare legs. Wow, I said aloud, surprised by my new, softer voice. Do you have a mirror? I wasn't sure how I sounded. Jason nodded and pointed to a mirror across the room. I looked at the reflection. Magic was real, I was a girl. About 5 feet 2 inches, with firm beak-up chests and straight brown hair falling below my shoulders. I looked a bit like Alyssa Milano, with hints of my Irish roots in my face. I wore a short black skirt and a fitted t-shirt that showed off my slender arms. I flexed a bicep, but hardly any muscle showed. I was stunned by my new age too, not the 30-something man I usually saw, but a woman around 22 or 23. Wow, Jason said, grinning. You turned out really cute. I'd ask you out if you weren't my best friend. I shot him a playful glare and started to absorb the reality of my new form. Losing about a foot in height made everything else seem larger. I'm a bit older than I asked for, aren't I? Yeah, I haven't experimented much with age shifts. It's hard to tell with animals. My clothes changed too. Yeah, the magic fills in the details. So, how does it feel? I've never really been able to ask that before. Well, actually I have, but the answers weren't clear. Unsettled. I feel small, I said, moving around cautiously. But I feel almost like myself. I'm not struggling to walk or anything. It doesn't feel alien, I almost feel like this is how I should be. That's what I found too. The animals never freaked out, sometimes curious, but always accepting. Walk around some more. I did, and Jason nodded. See? You walk like you were born a girl. This is just a lot. I sank onto the couch. He laughed. You even cross your legs like a girl. I hadn't even noticed, it just felt natural to sit that way. Then I spotted a purse strapped to the back of the chair next to me. Toss me that purse, I asked Jason. He handed it over, and I started going through the contents. Everything from my pockets and wallet was inside, the keys to my van, my credit cards, driver's license, except one thing, all the IDs showed the name Rachel Lawson instead of Ryan. This is incredible. It changed my name and everything. I wasn't sure that part would work, but I'm glad it did. Anyone who knew you before should recognize you. When I changed animals, their companions still identified them regardless of their new forms. The only time the change gets noticed is if another animal was within about 4 feet during the transformation. I'm really curious how this will affect your relationships. Like, will Claire remember you as her lover? Jason wondered. I didn't expect the changes to be this thorough, I admitted. Changing you is much harder than the animals. Maybe because so many people around you have to adjust too. I don't think I could transform more than 2 people in a day, but I could handle a dozen animals. Anyway, would you be okay going out in your new form? I'd love to see how people who knew you react. What do you mean, like walking down the street, movies, grocery shopping? No, I was thinking the pub, Jason said, watching my reaction. A lot of people from high school still hang out there. We don't have to stay long, but I want to see who recognizes you. What do you think? I hesitated but then said, sure. It's not every day I get to be a woman. Might as well test it out in the real world. Want to go now? It's only 7, let's wait a bit. Want a beer or something? He asked. Yeah, good idea. I thought a little buzz might calm my nerves. I grabbed the remote and flipped through channels. My long nails didn't get in the way, and I found it easy to keep my brown hair out of my eyes. We had a couple of beers and reminisced about old times. It felt great to hang out with Jason again. Eventually, I excused myself to the bathroom, a little buzzed. I took another good look in the mirror. I wasn't drop-dead gorgeous, but definitely cute in a sweet way. I stepped on Jason's scale, noticing I was wearing sandals with a slight heel. I was shocked to see I weighed only 108 pounds, over 100 pounds lighter than this morning. Lifting my shirt, I saw I wore a lacy white bra and admired my chest. Nice, not too big. I pulled down my panties and started to pee, examining my new female organ when Jason called, "Ready to go?" I quickly finished, adjusted my clothes, and we headed to the bar. At the pub, I soaked in all the new sensations. The bartender called me honey, guys checked me out, and my sense of smell felt sharper. Wearing the short skirt made me feel a bit vulnerable. I was grateful Jason was with me, it looked like we were together. Being hit on by a guy alone would have been strange. Then, unexpectedly, Claire walked in with another man. She looked great, 5 feet 9 inches, blonde, blue-eyed, fit. Though she was 35, she looked closer to 30. She saw us and tried to look away, but her boyfriend gently guided her over. I felt intimidated by her presence, her size, and what she might say. Our breakup was amicable, but this was the first time I'd seen her since. Now she was towering over me. "Rachel, Jason, this is my friend Matt," Claire said. I didn't want to come over, but Matt thought we should make up. "I'm sorry for how I acted. We shouldn't let a 4-year friendship go to waste," she said, eyes downcast. "Do you forgive me?" Well, that answered Jason's question about whether we were still lovers. "Sure, I forgive you," I managed to say softly. She opened her arms, and I stepped in for a big hug. I felt so small in her embrace. "Do you mind if we join you? You weren't having some romantic night out, were you?" Claire asked, then turned to Matt. "Jason and Rachel have been dating off and on for 6 years and still aren't married." Jason and I exchanged stunned looks. "Dating? Us?" I quickly recovered. "Sure, it's fine with me," I said, deciding to have a little fun. "Is that okay with you, honey?" I teased Jason. He shot me a teasing look and said, "Sure, it's fine with me, cutie." We spent the night drinking and chatting with Matt and Claire, discovering just how deep the changes went. Mostly, things were the same. I was still a computer repairman, Jason was still the oddball. We attended the same high school, though I was a few years behind. The big picture hadn't changed much, but the details were all a bit fuzzy. Overall, it was one of the most fascinating evenings I'd had in a long time. The drive home was quiet, both Jason and I were lost in thought. As we pulled into his driveway, Jason broke the silence. "Wow," he said. "That pretty much sums it up," I agreed. We made plans to meet at his house the next morning. Then I drove myself home. I double-checked my license to be sure home was still home. From the outside, the house looked the same, but inside, things felt different. Mostly small things, like the Christmas family photo. The decorations hadn't changed, but in my bedroom, bigger differences awaited. All my clothes had been replaced, and the bathroom was stocked with unfamiliar gels and shampoos. Exhausted, I decided to go to bed. I struggled a bit removing the bra, then searched for pajamas. I found plain pink ones and some sleek negligés. Feeling a little excited, I chose a silky camisole. It felt smooth against my hairless skin. Soon, I was exploring the pleasures of this female body. It was similar to self-pleasuring in my male body, yet completely foreign. It's hard to describe, but almost enough to make me want to stay a woman. The next day, after a struggle drying my hair, fastening my bra, and picking out clothes, I finally managed to leave the house looking somewhat normal. On my way to Jason's, I stopped for bagels and was stunned when the bagel guy asked me out. As a guy, people never approached me like that. I had no idea it happened to women. When I arrived at Jason's, he looked me over. I'd be a lucky man if we were really dating. "You're beautiful, Rachel," he said. I blushed, embarrassed, but eager to get down to business. "Can you change me back before I pick a new form? I need to arrange a whole week off." "No problem." While you're transformed, it's like a spell surrounds you, the magic strings connect to you. Those strings alter others' perceptions and change your belongings when you touch them within the first minute of the spell. All I have to do is remove the strings, and you revert to normal. So, it's not a true transformation, but your body still needs 24 hours to recover. Also, if you stay transformed too long, after about a month, the magic strings detach and your new form becomes permanent. "But I don't have to change you back, everyone already recognizes you as Rachel," he explained. "So if I stayed Rachel for a month, you'd have to transform me back to Ryan?" I asked. "Yeah. But it wouldn't be exactly the old you. It's nearly impossible to recreate an exact form. I could make you look somewhat like Ryan, and people would accept you as him, but there'd be differences. That's why I can't turn you into an exact copy of a celebrity." "Can I use your phone?" I asked. I called my employees and clients, arranging the week off. I noticed I was treated differently on the phone, like I got less respect. Still, I felt ready for a week of new forms. "Ready to try an animal form?" Jason asked. "Don't forget to join me on Patreon for exclusive content."